guys, thanks for checking out today's video. Today we're going to talk about something that I've been wanting to do again for a while. Today we're going to look at guitar swells. I know I've done a video in the past, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, kind of showing you how to do guitar swells, and since then I've kind of done a whole haul on my gear. In today's video there's a new guitar, new pedals, new amp, so I kind of wanted to demonstrate how my guitar swells sound now. So again, I'll show you how to do guitar swells utilizing your guitars, your pedals, and your amps, and how to get an appropriate kind of packed sound for your swells. So thanks again for checking out this video, and let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so today I am using a Gretsch G5122 coming out of a Blues Junior, and I feel like I've gone through my chain enough for you to know kind of what I have, but go ahead, take a look around and you'll see kind of some very known stuff. The Morning Glory DD500, Blue Sky, OCD, POG. I have a micro tap over here by Analog Endeavors to really help me set up my tap with my DD500, just an external tap. And then I have the red switch, red remote, I believe, by JHS to help maneuver in between my drive. So let's start with the first drive, and I'm not gonna show you my straight amp tone. I'm just gonna show you what I have within using swells. So here's my signal, original signal. Pretty clean, a little bit of grit to it. That's on my first drive stage. So some of the stuff that we're going to use within swells are your reverb, your delay, and then we'll toss in a micro POG and I'll show you how that sounds. And then I'll show you how a little bit more of an aggressive overdrive or dirtier overdrive would sound within swells. And so let's just go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and start with a reverb to kind of show you just how that sounds. Here's how the reverb sounds just regular without swells. And on my Gretsch I also have a Bixby, so you're going to hear some vibrato parts here and there. Normally with your swells, you're going to want a long trail of effects to really get that swell kind of sound. You don't want it to cut too short. You don't want your decay to cut too short while you're doing swells. Maybe you do. Maybe that it really depends on what you're doing within your song. So so for this, I've set my decay in my mix pretty high, so you can get a good idea of how swell carries through. So I'll just swell in with my reverb and just my overdrive. So pretty straightforward, kind of your basic kind of swell that you would have. To kind of enhance that, we're going to go ahead and toss on the DD500. And then also, if you have the ability to do tap tempo, maybe set it within a long stretch of time so your swells can kind of blend through each other. But also make sure it doesn't bleed within the song that you're doing. It's fair within the tempo that you're playing. So just for the sake of we're doing a tutorial right now or a video, I'm just going to set it kind of lengthy. And here we go. So that's with my first stage overdrive. We're gonna kick it on to a second stage. And also my delays are at about 2 o'clock. Let's bring it up to about 3. And I also have my mod. Let's bring my mod up to about the same. And I'm using just a regular tape delay right now. I figure tape really gives me a good kind of a little bit of a shimmer and kind of that famous, well-known worship kind of sound. So here's with the second stage, and let's go ahead and try this out. And I apologize, you are going to hear my guitar before the swell, so kind of just keep that in mind. So just right now I'm just playing your regular G, C, D, E minor chords. So let's go ahead and kind of look at some kind of like parts of triads. So I'm going to play over here towards the 12th fret with a B and E string. Or we can look at a different voicing type for A and a D. I find that different voicings really kind of help out in swelling, so it's not just this full chord, because sometimes it can sound like just like a big rolling ball of sound. So playing some alternatives can really kind of clean it up and make it nice and crisp. So before we go to the OCD, I'm going to switch on the micropog to kind of give you an idea of how swells can sound with the octave generator. So I have my sub octave pretty high and my octave up at about 2 o'clock. I'm going to bring back my dry knob just a bit so you can hear a little bit more of the mix. So here is, I'm going back to just regular G, C chords with a micropog, and I'm still on the second stage. I'm going to go up the fret for this one also. What I've noticed, because I just played that right now, it didn't sound exactly how I wanted it. Playing towards the higher end kind of really cuts through a little bit and sounds a lot better than sticking to your lower end, because if you're playing a G on the E fret, on the E string, you're also getting an octave lower also, so it might kind of sound a little muddy. So if my opinion, my suggestion is to stay towards the middle or towards the higher end of your chords to really get a nice clean sound out of that. So let's go ahead and turn off the pog, And let's try the OCD. So here is the OCD. So pretty full, pretty crunchy. So it sounds pretty fun when you added in your swells. You get a little bit more of an aggressive kind of crunch towards the tail end of your swell. So let's go ahead and check that out. Just for fun, let's try out the micro pog. So it sounds pretty full, pretty punchy. A couple tips when it comes to playing swells. Make sure you bring in your volume pedal. Also, a volume pedal is really key if you're going to want to do swells. You can do them with your guitar knob, but it's not exactly the same. Some people do it and it makes no difference, sounds just the same. It just doesn't have that kind of carefulness that you might be able to with your foot, because your hands are doing, a bunch of other different stuff. And also, when you're doing your volume swells, make sure you bring in your swell after your attack. So strum first, then bring it in, instead of strumming halfway and bringing it in. And also be very mindful and when you're bringing back your volume, because you don't want to bring it back too prematurely and your swell kind of dies early. And when it comes to blending in between your chords, there could be gaps, and you want to try and avoid that as much as possible. You want it to sound nice and fluid between your chords and when you switch. So just a little fun fact, I don't use guitar swells as much as I used to. Stepping into worship, I thought that would be something that I would use very often, but with worship music always progressing, and now we have tracks, we have pads in the background, we have certain stuff, automatic pad swells, so I'm not having to do it as much, so I can focus on leads. So don't think you always have to do swells to kind of fit in certain places within a song. Also worry about your leads. If you have the ability and you have the freedom to do swells, go ahead, rock out with that. But also don't forget about your parts and stuff that you have already planned to do. So this is pretty much it as far as guitar swells. There are other pedals and other things that people can toss into this, like a modulation pedal or a chorus pedal or a tremolo pedal. But for what I run, this is it right here. Drives, reverb, delay, and occasionally an octave generator to kind of change things up a little bit if I want to stand out a little bit more from some of the other guitars that we have playing. So before the video ends, let's go ahead and listen to a couple more. This time I'm gonna do something I didn't try earlier, which is click on my EP booster with my second stage drive, and let's just see how that sounds. So thanks for checking out today's video. I really hope that this has encouraged you and helped you out in your pursuit of doing guitar swells, and maybe has given you some ideas on how to go about that. Maybe you're thinking about investing in some pedals now that may help you to reach the sound that you really want. So do me a favor, you can subscribe, like this video, share with your friends, get the word out about what's happening here at Honest Sound and how they can be a part. That would be amazing. Alright guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.